On the outer and western wall of the Dromos corridor, named Antro della Sibilla by Amedeo Maiori, we can see a group of vertical signs that captured my attention since 1972. Signs are 10 cm average long. This group, that can be easily named Calendar A, consists of 29 notches. One first row of 20 parallel notches, lined in a unique horizontal line, is followed by a second underlined row of 9 parallel notches aligned to the right. This kind of placement makes us suppose that the upper row has been drawn from left to right, while the lower row has been drawn from right to left, according to the bosophitical system. In the summer of '95, I went there with Raffaele Iacente, a friend of mine, to take drawings and pictures. At the end of the survey, on a walk through the Dromos, Raffaele, proving an outstanding spirit of observation, spotted a further group of 13 notches. It was drawn in one of the side corridors leading outside, towards the sea, and precisely on the northern wall, but placed at an uncommon height above the ground. On the right side of the notches it's possible to see a schematic spindle-shaped drawing. The whole complex can be called Calendar C. The first and most intuitive way of organizing time for the primordial man have always been the day, seen as the sequence of light and darkness. Later on, in an intermediate moment of Paleolithic, human sight spotted and recognized a natural great clock and calendar, the moon. Man observed moon's phases: rising moon, full moon, setting moon. After that, the night light was disappearing for about 3 days, to start back over the same mystic cycle. It took little more than 29 days for the whole cycle to complete. The idea of month came to life, and it dealt both with functionality and with magic. It's been almost automatic at that point to identify, in this lapse of time, the same lapse of women's period. This soon led to the acknowledgement of an intimate mystical functional relationship between moon and woman. Further reasoning made us understand that after about 12 lunar cycles, season appeared recursive, even with some delay. Seasons at that time were identified in cold season and warm season, or at most rainy season and dry season. Actually, synodic months, based upon lunar cycle, takes 29.53 days, while 12 lunar calendar cycles takes 354.37 days to complete, but our ancestors used it to calculate months on a 29 full days basis, reaching a total of 348 days, instead of today's 365 we are used to consider. The concept of year came to life in a primordial shape. During Neolithic, agriculture spread out, especially cereals farming, requiring a more precise calendar to exactly calculate sowing and harvest periods. Those extra 17 days soon became a problem, mostly because they were summed each other year after year, forcing the sage in a continuous rearrangement of both virtual and sacred calendars, according to farming needs. So, some ancient observers started to calculate lunar cycles using a different system. Moon's position was then compared to some stars visible on the background. This guesstimate led to a 28 days lapse average, even closer to women's cycle. Nowadays, we have calculated the sidereal month, known as revolution time, in 27 days, 7 hours, 11.5 seconds, and we also know that 13 moon cycles take a bit more than 355 days, even if on those times they were used to get tough. Somebody approximated the lapse of time to 28 days and calculated that a 13 months year did last 364 days, definitely not bad for a 6,000 years ago astronomer. Many groups of notches, similar to calendar A and C, have been existing since prehistory. Among these are to be noticed the ivory pendulous, engraved with lines and notches, and the large-breasted, large-hombed Venus of Lassell, also known as the goddess with the horn. The pendulous features 14 notches, clearly engraved on the convex side, while the Venus of Lassell holds a horn with 13 similar notches. Another two bas-reliefs with similar features came from the same age and same time. It must be noticed, in fact, that since from early 70s, Alexander Marshak kept believing that since from the late Paleolithic there was a way to calculate time on a moon cycle basis.
Moon cycle was analyzed, memorized, and used for practical purposes about 15,000 years before agriculture discovery. Therefore, it can be better understood the great importance of the moon in archaic mythologies, and above all, the integration in an only system on the part of moon symbolism of realities different among them as women, waters, vegetation, snake, fertility, death, rebirth.
The snake itself is a symbol, almost an epiphany, of the moon, both for its appearing and disappearing, and because, according to a legend reported by Aristotle and Pliny, it is supposed to have as much rings as the lunar month, and, above all, because its frequent change of skin was seen as a sign of immortality. This also turned the snake into a symbol of constant regeneration, as the moon was, cyclically appearing and disappearing. We are particularly interested in the link between the moon and the snake. It is not by chance that in archaic myths the snake, in the shape of a dragon always linked to water, holds the sacred source of immortality. That means the knowledge of pre-science and subsequently the art of seeking the will of gods in the present and in the future. The snake indeed holds the tree of life, the tree of good and evil, source of youth and the oracle of Delphi. Furthermore, the dragon keeping the oracle of earth goddess was a female dragon, Dracena.